Hi guys, I'd just like to share with you that I finally decided on what semi-gourmand fragrance to buy, and I have now acquired it. Here it is, Rosendo Mateu number 7. The three most dominant notes are highlighted in these fragrances, and in this particular one, it is oud, patchouli, and vanilla. Yeah, I would probably say that it is in that order too, patchouli, maybe the main player, and then oud, and then vanilla. But I think it's thanks to the oud and patchouli that this doesn't go to a full-on gourmand. It also has like sweet notes. On Fragrantica, there's a little picture of like candy. I'm not quite sure what the sweet notes are. It's not that sweet to my nose. It's definitely semi-gourmand. They use two kinds of oud from both Laos and Thailand. And I read on the webpage there's something special about the patchouli. It's supposed to be top quality. I really like this fragrance, but it does remind me of Desert Rosewood from Goldfield and Banks. That gives you a little bit of an idea. It's that potent as that one. And that one I actually sold because I found it too difficult to wear it. I really thought it was beautiful, but there was something kind of overly masculine with that fragrance, and there was something that a little bit disturbed me because it was just the heaviness of it. And I find this to be a little bit less heavy, and I really can't completely describe why. The Goldfield and Banks, that fragrance doesn't have any oud, but I think it's pretty heavy on the patchouli. And I think this Australian Rosewood, I'm not familiar with that note by itself, but I think maybe that was it. It was very different to my nose. This one is not. I haven't been able to do a side-by-side because I don't own any of that fragrance anymore. But I have compared it with Oud Satin Mood because my friend Clara thinks that it reminded her of it. I don't think it does. I mean, they're both kind of oriental leaning fragrances, but that one doesn't have any patchouli, but it has lots of rose. This has very little rose. It does say rose petals, but I can't really get that. And this has a lot of patchouli. I think maybe, and that one doesn't have so much oud, I think. I think a lot of like non-oud lovers would still love that, but I'm not sure about this. But you have to be into patchouli. If you don't like patchouli, this might not be for you. But it has such a nice kind of, it has kind of a little bit of a syrupy quality to it. This brand is from Spain, which I find to be a little bit unusual. I don't think that many Spanish fragrances in my collection. Maybe this is the only one. I'll have to go and check, but this is from Barcelona. They have 7. This is the last one that came in this series. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I find them all quite nice. They're high quality fragrances. The price point is around 175 euro or dollars, which I think is a great price point for this quality. Something that maybe isn't such good quality is the top. You have to kind of like, I guess you should kind of take it off like that maybe, but it clicks in place, but it's kind of hard to get it off. And the sprayer is not that great. It's not like a fragrance du bois that just gives you this perfect shower and that you can dose it any way you want it. You get the right amount. So maybe they've tried to cut some corners there to be able to offer this for this price. There's also a black collection with 3 fragrances, and I think those are a little bit more about one note at a time. I think there's a woodsy one, an incense one, and an oud one. I didn't really get the chance to check them out more in detail, but I did. I managed to buy this at a pop-up store. There was this Swedish web shop that had a little, like an event, a pop-up event at this cute little bakery, and we got to eat all these bakery goods and try all of their perfumes, and they had a 15% on everything. So I did get a little bit of a discount, so I paid about $150 for this. So I'm very happy with it. I went through a whole sample, so I know that I like it. I've enjoyed every single drop of it. Also, I would like to talk a little about number 5 and number 6 from the same series. So number 6, I have had 2 decants. At one point I was like, I don't know about this. I don't think I like this, but it's kind of grown on me, and now I'm kind of back into it again. I think it's a beautiful fragrance for when you just want to smell really good. But it's not like, it smells like a super good designer. There's nothing really unique about it, but this one it is compared to, by some people on Fragrantica, to Dolce & Gabbana's Pour Femme. It has kind of like a wine red top, but that fragrance is a little bit more like orange blossom and marshmallow fragrance with a little bit of raspberry, I think. This one is not identical, and this one is creamier. I mean, it has sandalwood. The other one might have sandalwood too, but not in the same dose. This is more sandalwood. Sandalwood, amber, vanilla. I'm not sure it has orange blossom, but it reminds me of it. And it also has a hint of coconut in this. So this is definitely a little bit creamier, not really milky, I would say, but creamier. Like all the notes blend together more, and the Dolce & Gabbana one is a little more transparent. So this is definitely higher quality, longer lasting. It's still a really good fragrance. I don't think I would buy a full bottle of it though. And okay, so Rosendo number 5 is the hyped one from the house. Rosendo number 5, I don't know if you've heard of it. A lot of people have been raving about it. Sebastian from, the perfume guy, he loves this fragrance. And I find that people that have been into perfumery a long time really like number 5. And so there were 2 women with me, kind of from my perfume friends, that were at this pop-up, and that both love number 5. They have bought backup bottles because they heard that Rosendo Mateu himself, the perfumer behind this brand, passed away quite recently. I think he was in his 70s, and they thought maybe that, the perfumes would disappear from the market. They might discontinue this, but his son, Joan, Joan, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this in Spanish, but it's spelled like Joan. But it is a guy. He is still involved in the business, and I'm sure that if it's a bestseller, they're not going to take it away. Why would they do that, right? Anyways, the first thing I sprayed at this pop-up event was number 5, because I've been curious to see what I think of it today. I tried it for the first time like 2 years ago, and I was really like, God, what is this? This is not good. What is the hype about? But now I'm kind of a little bit, I have like a love-hate kind of thing with it. So I had it on my arm like all through the evening, and I kept going back and just kind of like following the different phases of this perfume, because since so many people like it, I was just, I'm curious to find what is it, I want to find the key to this incredible experience. But I realized that what it has too much of, according to my nose, is too much saffron. It's all about the saffron. But if you look at Fragrantica, there's no saffron listed. It just says spices. So it's hidden there for sure. And on Rosendo Mateu's website, they do talk about the saffron. They have written, they don't have the notes listed like top, mid, bottom, but there's a little text that describes the fragrance. And they've written spiced notes and saffron quality, which I think the English is a little bit weird. Maybe they should have, run this by someone, a more native speaker perhaps, but at least the word saffron is in there, because it's to my nose, super saffron dominant. If you're familiar with the new crystal saffron from Matiere Premier, my pronunciation in French is just horrible. And I even studied this in school. Anyway, I have a hard time with the French R's. They kind of like back in the throat. But this crystal saffron, yeah, that's how I realized it was saffron, because I remembered what that smelled like, and I didn't like it so much, I realized. But okay, so their website also says that it has vanilla, tonka beans, and strawberries. And there's nothing about strawberries on Fragrantica. So, but basically it's a floral scent. It has carnation, and carnation is quite a strong note. It has lily of the valley. That can be quite sharp as well. Okay, so the last sentence of this text, I'm going to read it to you on their webpage. It says like this: it is an exotic and different flower that does not exist in nature, like a dream in a fragrance. Okay, so I don't know. When it's all about the saffron, I don't really see this dominance about it being a floral fragrance. It's an ambery, floral fragrance. It has amber, it has florals, but to me, it's all about those spices and that saffron that totally takes over. And even like in the dry down, it was the saffron that was kind of like sending out these little puffs of fragrance. So Rosendo No. number 5, I will be going back to this fragrance maybe in 6 months to a year and see what my nose thinks about it then, because I know that I do change my mind a lot, and I just kind of like, it opens up to more different fragrances, and then sometimes I get bored with with some fragrances, because fragrances that are just beautiful are usually not that interesting to my nose. But I did actually run into this woman working in a shop at our local mall, and she was selling, I was going to get these little, something for my hair. And there's a little accessory shop, and she smelled so good. And I had to ask her, I was like, oh, is she wearing niche? Because I rarely smell someone smelling so good. In Sweden, people don't seem to wear perfume in that way, at least not that much. We're kind of a perfume community that likes to smell like soap and clean sheets and that type of smells. And I think it's kind of we're kind of a reserved people. We don't like to be too loud and stuff, but she smelled so good. I had to ask her what she was wearing, and she was actually wearing Woman in Gold by Kilian. And that is a fragrance that I have in my decant collection, and I've been through 2 decants, and I think it's beautiful, but it's just a little bit too perfect. But I can understand, and she said everyone gave her compliments for this, and I totally get that. Like, but if I'm home by myself, would I wear, like, I know it so well, it's just beautiful, but it's like, and it doesn't inspire me really. And it's not cheap either. I was hoping that she would say, oh, this is Ariana Grande so-and-so, and it only costs, $30 or something. But I knew when I smelled it, I was like, this has got to be niche. It's so good. So I found that a little bit interesting. Anyway, it was interesting also I read a little about, you can go to their website and read about the perfumer. He was employed in one of the big companies and has created many fragrances. And then I think after that, he was like asked to create some fragrances in this big exhibition about this British artist. And he worked really hard on that. And then after that, he decided to create his own line. And I heard someone say on YouTube, and I really think that this might be true, that the perfumers who have been employed by the big houses for many years and, learned and everything, and then break loose and do their own thing, those are the perfumers to go for, because they are more creative. They are not like locked in any box. They don't just get an assignment. Oh, can you make a fragrance that reminds of this and this? They have free hands. They can do whatever they want. And I think that's what, for example, Aurélien Guichard has done with Matiere. I'm just going to say it in English. Matiere Premiere has done. I think he has the same kind of career. Born and raised in Grasse and worked in the big companies, and then he's done his own thing after that. Anyway, I think these are really nice. I think number 1 is also really nice. It's like a tea fragrance with, I think, sandalwood and, was it iris? No, not, maybe it was neroli. Or it was very fresh anyway. I can't quite remember, but I just remember that I really liked it, but I felt like I probably wouldn't spend that kind of money on a fresh fragrance because it probably doesn't last that long, and I already have other fresh fragrances, and it's not I'm more of a heavy fragrance kind of person. That's where I tend to spend my money. But if you're into that, check out number 1 as well. And the other ones I can't quite remember. I just know that number 4 was a lot of saffron, too much saffron in that one as well. But if you're into that, check them out, because I think these are good, and it's good quality, good value for money, I would think, for this price. The only thing is that they only sell them in this size, 100 ml. So, but maybe you can, split with your friends or something like that. Okay, well, that was all for now. I have my semi-gourmand fragrance, and I'm very happy with it.